So a nearly 40-cent difference locally to nationally. Let's find out more about what's happening at the pumps with Gas Buddy's Patrick De Haan, one of the nation's leading gas and oil experts. Good to see you, Patrick. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Let's start very simply with that discrepancy. Why so large between the national average and what we're seeing here?
Well, prices certainly have been a little bit slower to fall in Syracuse. Prices down 8 cents a gallon in the last week, while the national average down closer to 15 cents a gallon. Prices coming down, though, 25 cents lower in Syracuse, but the national average has nearly doubled that drop. In fact, almost 65-cent drop nationally. Why that's happening? Well, areas of the Northeast don't have as much refining capacity. With the loss in 2019 of the Philadelphia Energy Solutions refinery, you're more reliant on fuel that's coming from further destinations overseas. And those imports are still being impacted by what's happening with the Strait of Hormuz. And it's not just New York, but really several states in the Northeast still having more expensive prices. You'll notice the map behind me, the extremities on the West Coast and the Northeast, basically where more gasoline has to be imported than there is in existence because of a lack of refining capacity.
Still that issue. Okay, so I mean, the million-dollar question then, when could we see a noticeable decline in New York? I mean, is below $4 a gallon a possibility this summer? Soon?
It still is a possibility, maybe not so soon. We'll have to watch the price of oil, but it is possible over time. Now, gasoline inventories have declined very quickly as more of what we use here in the United States has been exported during the last 4 months as the strait has remained closed. As long as the strait now continues to be reopened, I know we're in process of doing that, that could mean more gasoline is going to come from Middle Eastern refineries, and that could help reduce that gap between Syracuse and the national average. But that's really going to be contingent on if and how long the Strait of Hormuz remains open.
You know, one question we get a lot, I'm sure you hear it too, status of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Should we be releasing more? Could we release more? Would that help any of the price difference, the higher prices we're seeing, like you said, Northeast and West Coast?
Well, we're releasing close to a maximum amount, about 1 million barrels every day or so being released from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, which, by the way, the level has now fallen to the lowest since it was filled up back in 1983. Releasing more probably wouldn't help because that oil still needs to run through refineries. And that's the exact problem in areas of the Northeast and the West Coast. Just not enough refineries to process the oil and turn it into gasoline.
So we talked a lot about gas prices. I'm very curious because we haven't talked about this in a little while. Where do we stand with diesel prices? How are we doing with those?
Yeah, diesel prices have fallen nationally as well. In fact, diesel probably is going to fall more than gasoline. Gasoline demand is higher in the summer. Diesel demand is lower in the summer. So that should provide truckers a nice break here over the course of the summer. Looking at average diesel prices here right now across Syracuse, as I quickly pull this up, prices have fallen quite a bit here in the last few weeks. Syracuse prices still well above the $5 gallon mark for diesel, but the average now $5.59, where it was almost close to $6 a few weeks ago. So diesel prices could decline another 50 to 75 cents in the weeks ahead. Gasoline, well, maybe 25 to 40 cents a gallon if we're lucky over the next month or two.
Download the WSYR Plus app on your TV to stream News Channel 9 for free. Just go to your smart TV, search WSYR Plus in the App Store, and download to start streaming today.